Hey guys, today I'll be showing another restoration project I've been working on, and this video is for Sam, who owns this really nice little Micromoog. So Sam, I'm just going to go over it for you, show things functioning, just give you a good overview. This thing got my typical stuff, stripped it down, did a full full restore on it, replaced all failure components, rebuilt the keyboard assembly, new bushings, and did a full key alignment. Full calibration, 9-hour burn-in, chassis detailing, switch cleaning, pot cleaning, all that good stuff. So it's in really good shape now. Rebuilt the ribbon as well. See, your ribbon controller is going to work really nice. But yeah, it's just a really great unit, so I'm just going to go over it here and show you that everything's functioning. I have to say, this is one of the cleanest units I've seen in quite a while as far as being original. The only thing that has been replaced on this particular unit is the keyboard assembly. And the way I can tell is that this one actually was made 2/24/75. Is actually when your Micromoog was built. The keyboard's dated 1977. So the keyboard is later. But also it has a different contact design. So early Micromoog keyboards, they actually used a different circuit board for the contacts for the J wires. So what they did is they actually had a fiber material circuit board that mounted horizontally, and it had physical resistors making up the chain for the keys. And then you had the J wire just come out of that circuit board and stick out. And the fiber board material was really crappy. It's kind of the same stuff you find in the early Japanese synthesizers. It's like that brown circuit board, and it's bad about warping and cracking and just a really crappy circuit board. And so this one actually has a later circuit board, which is where they actually used a fiberglass circuit board, and it lays vertically underneath the keyboard, and it actually has integrated circuits making up the resistor network. So it's actually a resistor package, and there's these chips, so it saves a lot of room. But also your J wires mount different. They actually mount to the circuit board and stick out from underneath, which gives you more of an angle when you push. So it's under less stress. And it doesn't have the sliding motion as much as the earlier styles inside the actual actuator arm. So just a little bit of history there. But that's not a bad thing. Having this keyboard is a really nice thing. It also makes it easier to keep the contacts aligned and cleaned and all that good stuff. But that's about the only thing I could find that wasn't original to this unit. But everything else looks really good. You still got the wood grain on the sides. I'll walk you on the back here. And you can see it's your serial number. It's 6029. But just a really clean example of a Micromoog. The only thing you have that's kind of weird about this particular unit is you actually got a little warped chassis. And that's not uncommon. I do see this sometimes. It's just kind of weird how yours is warped. I hadn't seen one quite like this yet. You can see your filter mode switch right there. There's a gap underneath it. And you can see it's a gap underneath this one. It's gapped on this side a little bit on the oscillator, and it gets closer together as you go up. And same thing over here. You can see on this one, you'll see it's right here, and it goes up. And that switch is actually straight. That's a straight switch. It looks weird because of the angling, but then it goes up here, and then everything gets back to normal. So that was just one thing I noticed about your chassis. I had to actually do a little bit of modification, and that's the only reason I actually noticed this was because of that. I couldn't get your bypass switch to engage because this chassis is sagging a little bit. It actually affected the clearance for the switch travel. And so what I had to do is I'll just pull the switch cap off here. So what I had to do is I had to actually cut out a little bit extra spacing on this side of the switch so it would go to on. And so that's what I had to do there. But I kept it really clean for you, so it looks almost factory. And so that all works now correctly. But besides those little things, I mean, it's a really great little unit. I think I'll be really happy with it. But let me put the camera on the tripod here, and I'll just walk you through the sounds, go through all the sections, show you that it's fully working. And we'll go that route here. Let me get the camera on the tripod here. Alright, so anyways, we'll start with the oscillator section. Filter's open. I'll just show you that all your keys work first of all. So we'll go down the scale of the keyboard. All your keys work. And I will tell you that this is probably my most favorite single oscillator synthesizer. And not just because it's Moog, but because it does things that's just great, and it's not generic. And when I say generic, it's not using Curtis chips, which is what I consider generic. It's actually physical discrete circuitry. For Curtis chips and stuff like that, all you got to really have is a supportive circuitry around the chip to make it work. That's really it. Then just the synth designers design based off what they want it to do and the functions, really. But this is actually using like a discrete circuitry, so it's actually made up of transistors, op amps, all that good stuff. So it's really discrete, and it's just fantastic. It's got a sound to it that just is great. And for one oscillator, it does a lot of things which you'll hear. But anyways, you've heard the keyboard tracking. I'll go through the waveforms of your oscillator. So it's actually a variable waveform. You also got a sub-oscillator, which is actually a -1 or -2, which is it's basically just a divider that's clocked off oscillator, the actual VCO. See how that works. I'll go through your octave ranges. So we're on 32 right now. Got the wide band, which is actually when you go to wide, it gets crazy. So we'll go to wide frequency, and then you look at this actually frequency pot. See how that works. So that's your oscillator section. It's pretty simple, but like I say, this thing does a lot, and it's got a sound. I'll go to modulation right quick and show you that your variable waveform, it actually can modulate to the waveforms, which is really cool. I love this feature about the micro. So we got it set there. We'll put just a little bit of -1. Really good sound, but that's just your modulation of the waveform. I'll go through your modulation section here later. Your noise source works. We'll turn the oscillators off. That's your white noise, so it works. Turn the oscillators back on. Your filter works, so we'll go to the filter. Bit of filter contour on that. So you got two modes also for your contour. You got a one that's not going to release till you let off a note. We can set it to where it'll actually release while you hold in a note. So you get that really thumpy kind of. Your attack works. You can also go negative with the contour. Okay, how that works. So that's your filter. I'll also show you that your filter tracks. So we'll go to tone mode on your filter. Turn the oscillators off. See how that works? We got a little bit of control on that. There we go. So then what we also got, we can modulate the filter. I'll go and show you that the filter will modulate here. We've oscillator's back on. And what's interesting about the filter on this particular unit is it actually works with the octave switch. So, for example, when I go back just to filter mode, you'll hear when I change the octave switch, it actually changes the frequency of the filter. So you can hear how that works. Kind of interesting on this particular design. But that's in tone mode. You got full mode. We'll go back here and it actually will not self-oscillate unless you're in the tone mode, which is why it's called tone. Turn the oscillators back on. But what's really cool about the synth is it has frequency modulation of the filter. So if we go here, we can actually that's a weak signal, you got a strong signal. You just hear how cool that sounds. It's got a really good sound. We can actually modulate the oscillator. We'll go to full mode. We'll change our waveform of our oscillator, which will actually change that frequency of frequency modulation of the filter. Turn off our doubling. So as you can hear how that works, we'll go to tone mode. Now it gets really cool. Really cool. We can also put the oscillator in drone mode, which is going to be an ELF reference. So you get really crazy stuff out of this little synth. Weak. Then we're out of our film. But the filter's still going to track, even though the oscillator's not tracking. Harmonics, which is just fantastic, and this is what makes the Micromoog so cool in my opinion for one oscillator. also do is you can actually engage, we'll actually show you the sample and hold right So that's your sample and hold. We can also modulate the oscillator. So actually we'll go back to that another example. How crazy it can get, and I just love the synth for that reason. It just does things that no one oscillator synth I've ever worked on besides this one does. Then we'll go back normal here. Anyways, I will go over the modulation section right quick and just show you that, because I have showed you parts of it just through this experimentation of the frequency modulation, the filter modes, that kind of stuff. So we'll go to oscillator first. You've already heard it modulate, but I'll show you just in the raw form of the oscillator. So you get that mode, you got noise. We'll go to noise. This is very similar to what you found in the Micromoog. With when you change the modulation mix from oscillator 3 to noise. We got bend, which actually makes the pitch wheel just bend pitch. Also, I want to show you a ribbon work since we're talking about pitch bending. We got off, which means the modulation bus is not going to do anything. We got oscillator and filter, so we'll go back to a. Then we got just filter. And then we got off again, and then we got actually the waveform modulation. So I actually go through the waveforms of the oscillator. That's how that works. You also got your sample and hold, which you've already heard, but you got two versions. You got one that's auto trigger. So we'll go here, bring that down. So you hear it auto triggering. I'm just adjusting the contour setting. And you've also got the one which is not, it's actually not auto triggering, it's just sample and hold it when you hit a note. So as you can see, like that. That's your modulation bus. We'll go up an octave here and I'll show you that your loudness contour is working. So we'll start with a very slow attack. See how that works. We've also got a how that works. We've also got the same mode here, which you see me adjusting occasionally. You got it where it'll decay. You know, even when you hold a note, and you can switch it to where it won't decay until you let off a note. So it's really nice, and it comes really in handy when you want to do certain things, like with the filter. So here we go. So we can make the filter actually have a decay even when we hold a note, and the loudness contour will hold. So it's actually holding even though you can't really. Stuff like that. Of course, there it is with the decay. Even when I hold a note, you can hear the difference there. You've also got a bypass mode, which actually what it does, it activates the VCA, basically latches the VCA on. We'll go back to a normal kind of setting here so you can hear this. So when I actually hit the bypass, it's just going to sit there and sustain. Basically, it bypasses the loudness contour and just turns on the VCA, latches it on. That's what that does. But anyways, that's the overview of this Micromoog for you sound. And like I said, I think you'll be really happy with this thing. It's working really great. Love these synthesizers. It's actually absolutely one of my favorite single oscillator synthesizers for the reasons that you just heard. It does a lot of little things that not too many one oscillator synths do. And for that reason, it's just a really great synthesizer. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and there'll be more to come here very soon. Take care.